Welcome to the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast presented by Boss Girl Creative. This is episode number 472. Today, I am continuing the conversation about visibility in your business. Now let's dive in. Have you already found business success but feel lonely at the top? Or do you feel like you're at a place in your business where others just don't get it? Or maybe you feel like you have to make yourself smaller in order for others to not feel less than. Or maybe just a little bit of all three. But with all that said, there is good news because I've been there and I see you, sister. I'm Taylor Bradford, the torchbearer of this podcast and sisterhood, and I'm here to lead and inspire you to stay purposely aligned in the success you have found and provide you with support, guidance, and a sisterhood to keep going. Because I do get it. Your business journey isn't meant to be traveled alone. So grab a notebook, your favorite pen, and a bevy, and let's dive into this together with this latest podcast episode. Welcome to the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast presented by Boss Girl Creative and me. Hey, welcome to episode 472. I'm your host, Taylor Bradford. Thank you so much for pressing play on today's episode. I am continuing the conversation around visibility, and it's going to be a topic, an underlying theme for a good while because this is where I am seeing a lot of businesses fall short. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of this episode, let's find out what's been going on in the land of social media. Social media headline number one, Meta is testing automated creative variations for Reels. This could get interesting. They are currently testing a new automated process that will help you optimize the performance of Reels posted by a business page by experimenting with different variations of the content without you doing a thing. So stay tuned. Social media headline number two, TikTok launches a new image sharing app called We, and it's spelled WHEE. TikTok is keen to tap into image sharing. Social media headline number three, and keeping with TikTok, they have filed an official motion to oppose the U.S. sell-off push. Stay tuned for more. Social media headline number four, Instagram adds live streams for close friends only. This is a new way to encourage more intimate sharing within the app. Social media headline number five, keeping with Instagram, they are experimenting with chat widgets to prompt more engagement. Chat widgets would enable users to add additional indicators into their chats. Social media headline number six, can Elon Musk turn X into a key financial platform? Elon's broader plan for X is taking time to formulate, but will it work? ? Social media headline number seven, and continuing with X, they will soon provide insight into when your audience is active within the app. Valuable metrics from X, but are enough brands still around for it to matter? And that wraps up this week's social media headlines. So I wanted to continue the conversation around visibility, and this is leading up into my 9-year anniversary podcast episode, which is published next week, which if you are listening to this particular episode, it falls within the last week of June 2024. And then my 9th official anniversary birthday for the show happens to be within the first week of July. And I'm excited. I've already recorded it. I actually had a really good friend of mine on for the episode to interview me. And it was a great experience and a fantastic conversation. And something that you will hear in this next week's episode is going to be a brand new intro to the show. And The whole reason why I am making another pivot, like the name of the show is still going to continue to be the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur, because I do feel very, very strongly that you do have to have purpose driving your business. But what I have been seeing, especially during this entire social media experiment that I have been doing since basically the beginning of January of this year, 2024, is that visibility is what eludes a lot of business owners. And a lot of business owners, even creators who may not consider themselves business owners, but at the end of the day, they truly are. They are running a business, being a creator. What I am seeing is so many people dumping all of their eggs into one specific social media platform. And especially on this MRR side of like the spectrum and digital marketers, which really kind of drives me batty that there is anything called digital marketing. Because if you are a business owner and you are marketing your products or services online, you are doing that digitally, which makes you a digital marketer. Like, this is not a title that you have. It's not like affiliate marketing. Like, affiliate marketing is very specific to you being an affiliate of something and you're marketing somebody else's product as an affiliate. Digital marketing is just you being a marketer online. There's literally like that's what you do. Now, you may not have a storefront, so maybe everything is online, but I don't necessarily think that there's a strong like indicator of you are only a digital marketer. So I feel like that is being overused, and in a way that is I don't know, it's like this, people are catching on to this phrase and using it in a way that is not meant to be used. It's mind-boggling. But regardless, what I am seeing, the pitfalls that I'm seeing now that I am down this road and have been down this road, is that it doesn't matter if you have figured out your purpose, if you have figured out your why, if you have figured out your core values, if you have figured out who your ideal customer is. It doesn't matter if you've done all of that work. Should you do the work? Absolutely. Like, the only way that you will have a compass to guide you forward is by doing that work. But at the end of the day, if you are not visible, you will not make money. It truly does come down to visibility. And what kind of sparked that is the conversation we had today. Today, we actually recorded the 9th anniversary podcast episode. And it kind of spurred me to thinking, you know what, I've been thinking about this since this whole social experiment started. When I drive down the road in my small town is about 40,000 people. It's probably grown since there's a whole lot of building going on right now, but let's just cap it at 40,000 people. So 40,000 people, and I'm seeing businesses come and I'm seeing businesses go. And the reason why they go is they are not gaining traction with their visibility. And there seems to be, like, when you're doing your market research to determine whether or not you have a viable product that somebody will buy, or a lots of somebodies will buy, only then should you attempt to create a storefront. Like, truly, how can you grow a business from like as small as possible with very little overhead, and then work to grow it into a storefront? You should try everything in your power to not have the overhead right out of the gate, so that you can determine whether or not your idea is profitable or can be profitable. If I look at how I started Sugar Creek, I started out of my garage. I built farm tables in my garage. I actually built 15 farm tables out of my garage. I had storage units for the first 5 years of my business. Legitimately, I had clients meet me, and it just broke my heart, because the storage units that I was in was very cost effective for me to be in, but they were ugly as sin. Like, the owners of the storage facility didn't care, and so they weren't actively like making sure that their product looked pretty. It wasn't presentable. And so I cringed when people wanted, not when I wanted, when people wanted to see my things in person, which at the end of the day, in the rental world, if they can't see it, they won't rent it. And that is the God's honest truth. And so I, would encourage people to come out, but I was just always so embarrassed, even though I had it organized to the best of my ability. And so, I was really driving to be able to get to a showroom warehouse kind of model, but also I needed to make my idea profitable. And so the first 5 years of my business were between my garage and storage units. And then we stumbled on the most perfect piece of land. We bought it, and then we started renovating the existing structure, and then realized that that wasn't going to be viable, and ended up building a 5,000 square foot warehouse and added several other things to the property to help us continue to make additional revenue, like an RV and boat storage facility, which saved our bacon during COVID when live events were shut down. And my husband was like in between, like what he was going to do with his life and all of that. And so I was able to be so incredibly intentional with the growth of Sugar Creek, but I made sure that it was viable before I ever invested in more overhead. And I think that that is what plagues people. They are putting the cart way before the horse, and they're not doing their homework. They're not doing their market research. They haven't studied whether or not it is something that people already need a solution for, and they're just going for it. And in that process, so they didn't do the work, they didn't figure out who their what their ideal customer was like. They didn't do any of that homework. And if they did even a small sliver of that, they didn't build it on a level surface. They built it on the side of a cliff, okay? And so they may have done some work, not enough work, and definitely not on a stable ground. And then they didn't do the work to get themselves visible, which in business, again, if you're not visible, you will not make money. If you are not social in your business, you will not make money. That is literally the bottom line. You've got a hobby, you don't have a business. And so I'm driving down the road and I'm like, wow, that has already turned over again. And I'm like, what? And how are these people missing this mark? You have social platforms that you get to use for free. You get to use rented space for free to help get eyeballs on your content, or the product that you have for sale. You have all of these tools at your fingertips and you're not using them. And it's uncanny the amount of people in my town. And I know like my town's small, and I can only imagine this is like scaled or amplified in much larger towns and cities, that people put the cart before the horse because they don't understand how to actually build a business. And I get it. You don't know what you don't know. But at the end of the day, you're going to need to figure out how to get a mentor, how to do market research. You can't just blindly decide you're going to put money into a building or a space, whether you're leasing it or purchasing it, and just hoping and praying it works out for you. There is a brand new barbecue place in my town. They just opened 2 weeks ago. It has been long awaited. We lost one barbecue place that was pretty decent, and because the ownership of the building changed hands and they got kicked out, even though they've been in that building for as long as I can remember, probably at least 30 years, if not longer. Now they're in a completely different town that does not have the same kind of drive-by traffic that they used to have. And they're in a town that are literally mostly vegetarians or vegans, and they're a barbecue joint. So I don't know how much longer they're going to be in business because they chose the wrong location, but nobody's asking me. And so this one location has been long awaited, and whomever owns it, and I don't know who owns it, but they wanted to put in a barbecue joint with barbecue specifically. If you are not the pit master, you may have a hard time having longevity in your business, because the pit master is what makes or breaks barbecue, right? That is how your barbecue is cooked. It is how your barbecue is smoked. It is how your barbecue comes and gets, seen in front of the public and eaten by the public. Your pit master is the key to your barbecue business. And for the longest time, they could not nail down a pit master. And when they would get one, this is way before they opened, when they would get one, they would lose one. When they would get one, they would lose one. And that's never a great sign when you're trying to open a barbecue business, right? So long awaited, they finally get going. I have eaten there once. My husband has eaten there twice. And I can already predict it. It is not going to last. It is not going to last. Their pricing is too high for our town. What you get, I literally watched somebody spend $52 on lunch for 2 individuals. $52 at lunch for 2 individuals. Who spends $52 at lunch? Like, that is not something that is sustainable for people at lunch. It's not fine dining for sure. Like, it's barbecue in a small town. And the service was, to be desired. The food was okay. Like when I ate, the food was okay. But when my husband went back, the food was not okay. And it's a barbecue joint. You're going to have really good barbecue if you're going to last. And so, again, they did not consult me. And I could have helped them out greatly. But visible they are. They are on a main drag. So they are definitely visible as at least to drive-by traffic. Whether or not they are visible in other ways, I have not gone out to look at that. But at the end of the day, you have to figure out where your ideal customer is hanging out, what social platform they are actively using, and attracting them to you in a way that gets them into some kind of a sales funnel, whether or not it's a freebie, a coupon code, something, and then gets them on your email list. And then you can nurture the relationship. Get them to follow you on a specific social platform and get them talking about your brand using user-generated content. That is a fan saying something about you and then you resharing it on your social platforms or with your email list, however you plan to do that, or writing a blog post or featuring a fan of the week, using your tools to be social about your business online, because without being social, without being visible, you will not make money. And that's just the bottom line at the end of the day. And it drives me bonkers to see how many people have placed all of their eggs into the Instagram basket. All I'm seeing right now, and yes, I'm experiencing it, but I'm on a rented platform. I am trying to get people to come to my email list. And this rented platform, I'm seeing people constantly say, their reach is down, their, whatever is down. They're not getting the right amount of sales or the amount of sales they were getting. And what do? Oh, poor me. And it's just one sob story after another instead of just doing the work. Do the work you're meant to be doing and just put your nose down to the grindstone and just go, like horse goggles on and push forward, because we cannot control what a rented platform is allowing us to use. And we've got to stop gaming their systems. At the end of the day, what I have seen through the years, because I've grown up with these platforms. I started on Instagram when Instagram was brand new. I started on Pinterest when Pinterest was brand new. Twitter already existed. I jumped onto Twitter the moment that I decided to have an interest in marketing my blog way back in 2011 or 8 or 10, whenever I got on Twitter. Facebook, I had to use my college alumni email address to get an account. Like, it was not meant for what we have now turned it into. Now, obviously, Meta has much larger, goals in mind and has totally transitioned into being something that it wasn't initially. And that's great for them. But again, we have, and I say we collectively, bloggers and influencers and now creators are gaming the systems that we don't actually own. And it's no wonder they keep changing the algorithms, because once we figure something out, how to game it in some way, they change, because it was never meant to be used in that way. So we got to be smart with how we are social on these platforms. We have to be smart with how we spend our time. And is the time you are currently spending trying to be visible, is there a return on your investment? Are you growing? Are you getting people, driving them to your website? Are you driving them into your email list? Because those should be your goals. That is what you should be tracking. So continuing the conversation, because I think it's so incredibly important. And I am working on a course right now. I can't believe I'm even saying this out loud. But I am working on a course that will help you get more visible, because that is what I'm seeing a lack of. Yes, you can still buy my book. I do think my book is a very powerful tool, guiding light for you if you have not already done the work to figure out what your why is, what your purpose is, what your intentions are with your business, how to define your ideal customer, how to figure out what your core values are that are driving you forward in your decision making within your business. You've got to do the work. You can't not do the work. And that is something else that I'm seeing, like being a shortfall with these so-called digital marketers. They're not doing the work. They're not even coming close to doing the work. And part of it is because nobody's explaining that they actually need to do the work. But I am saying you have to do the work, and you have to build your foundation on a solid surface, on a solid, stable ground. You can't build it on the side of a cliff. It'll just fall right off. You have to do the work. But then once you do the work, then you've now got to work to be visible. You have to now work to be social. And so I'm working on a course that will show you how to be visible. And yeah, stay tuned. I'm hoping, I actually was hoping to record it this upcoming week. I don't know when I can launch it, but I was hoping to record it this upcoming week when my husband was out of town. He was supposed to adventure up to Idaho for a kind of backcountry kind of experience. And he flew our plane. He got all the way to Kansas and turned back because of an issue. And he didn't want to chance going up into altitude with a known issue. So he slept on the couch in a random town in Oklahoma. And because he had been flying and up for a really long time, and he needed to, keep his wits about him, hello, safety. And then he got home about 7:00 yesterday, and we're actually deciding to get in the car tomorrow and go to Colorado and to escape for the week. So yeah, so I plan on trying to film this course while I am on vacation. We shall see what my Wi-Fi situation is like and what my recording situation is like, the ambient noise, all of that. So we shall see, but it is in the works, a visibility course. I don't have a name for it. And, but stay tuned for that, because I do feel like, and that brings me back to the very beginning where I said you will hear a brand new intro to the show. And it is me basically shelving an idea that I thought I could provide a solution for. I still think this is something that needs to be tackled. I just haven't figured out how to do it effectively. And so you're going to hear a new opening to the show. And you're going to see a slight pivot with how I go about talking to you on this podcast, because visibility is key to your business being successful. And I mean being successful attached to the dollar sign. And whatever your level of success, whatever your definition of success, it all still tracks back down to money. So that is where we're going. I'm going to help you make your first $1 million or whatever your arbitrary number is. And we're going to do that by getting you more visibility. We are going to turn your purpose into a paycheck. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation next week in celebration of my 9th anniversary of the podcast. I have never missed a week of recording this show. I'm so proud of that. And it's going to be a great conversation. So stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I'd love to hear from you. Slide into my DMs on Instagram at BossGirlCreative. And until next week, I hope you have a great rest of this one. Oh, wait, before I go, thank you truly for your support of my own business journey and this podcast, The Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur. If you know another entrepreneur who is in the same business trenches, who has already found success but might be feeling a bit lonely in their journey, my hope is that you'll share this podcast and this sisterhood with them. Because this, what we do day in and day out, isn't meant to be done alone. Speaking of lonely, if you're ready to squash the business journey loneliness, stop what you're doing right now and join the sisterhood. Visit bossgirlcreative.com/sisterhood. I can't wait to see you in there.